Think about everything that annoyed you today before you even sat down to watch this video. Maybe you spent 10 minutes looking for a parking spot. Maybe your package arrived later than expected. Maybe you couldn't find your keys, waited too long in line for a coffee, or wished someone else could handle one more chore on your list. None of these moments seem important. In fact, they're so common that most of us barely notice them anymore. We sigh, deal with the inconvenience, and move on with our day, as if that's simply how life works. But here's something fascinating. Every single inconvenience you accept without thinking is also a problem shared by thousands, sometimes millions, of other people. And hidden inside those ordinary frustrations is something that most people never see. Opportunity. Not the kind that makes headlines or goes viral on social media, but the kind that quietly changes someone's financial future. Most people believe successful businesses begin with a brilliant invention. They imagine someone creating the next revolutionary app, inventing a groundbreaking technology, or building something the world has never seen before. Sometimes that happens, but much more often, the story begins somewhere surprisingly ordinary. Someone notices that parents hate assembling furniture. Someone realizes homeowners don't enjoy cleaning their driveways. Someone sees office workers wasting time every single day solving the same small problem. While everyone else walks past those frustrations without giving them a second thought, one person stops and asks a completely different question. What if this isn't just an inconvenience? What if this is a business waiting to be built? That simple shift in perspective has launched thousands of successful companies, many of which most people have never even heard about. After looking at dozens of industries and studying the stories behind how they started, one pattern appears again and again. The businesses that quietly generate millions rarely solve spectacular problems. Instead, they solve problems that return every single day. Laundry gets dirty again. Trash piles up again. Lawns keep growing. Packages keep arriving. Cars keep getting dirty. These aren't exciting problems. They're predictable ones. And that's exactly what makes them so valuable. By the end of this video, I don't simply want to give you a collection of business ideas. I want to help you develop something much more useful. A completely different way of looking at the world around you. Because once you start recognizing everyday frustrations as hidden opportunities, you'll realize your neighborhood, your city, and even your daily routine are filled with businesses that most people walk past without ever noticing. Not every problem is worth building a business around. Some annoyances happen once and disappear forever. Others are so small that nobody would ever pay to solve them. So how do you tell the difference? After looking at dozens of successful businesses, I noticed they all have something in common. Long before they became companies, they started as everyday problems that shared the same 4 characteristics. Once you understand these 4 signs, you'll never look at ordinary life the same way again. You'll begin spotting opportunities in places where everyone else only sees routine. The first sign is surprisingly simple. The problem keeps coming back. If people experience the same frustration every week, every month, or every single day, they're much more likely to pay for a permanent solution than for a temporary fix. The second sign is emotional. Ask yourself one question. How relieved would someone feel if this problem disappeared today? The strongest businesses don't always solve the biggest problems. They solve the most annoying ones. Think about carrying heavy furniture up 3 flights of stairs, cleaning a filthy driveway under the summer sun, waiting half a day for a repair technician who never shows up. None of these situations are life-changing, but every single one creates stress, and people happily pay to remove stress from their lives. The greater the feeling of relief after the solution, the easier it becomes for customers to say yes. You're not just selling a service. You're selling peace of mind. The final two signs often separate good businesses from great ones. First, the solution has to save either time, effort, or both. Modern life is busy. People don't just buy products anymore. They buy convenience. They pay someone else to do the things they don't have time, energy, or patience to do themselves. And finally, there's one characteristic that quietly multiplies the value of almost every business. The customer comes back, not because you convinced them, because the problem returns on its own. Dirty cars become dirty again. Lawns keep growing. Packages keep arriving. Things keep breaking. When the problem repeats naturally, customers often do the same. Keep these 4 signs in mind throughout this video, because every business you're about to see checks most, if not all, of these boxes. And once you recognize that pattern, you'll start discovering opportunities almost everywhere you look. Let's start with something almost everyone has complained about at some point. Laundry. Not because it's difficult, because it never seems to end. You finally finish washing, drying, folding, and putting everything away. And a few days later, the basket is full again. It's one of those chores people accept as part of life. Nobody wakes up excited to spend their Saturday sorting clothes, waiting for washing cycles, or folding towels. It's simply another task, competing for the little free time we have left. But what if I told you that this ordinary routine has quietly created an industry worth billions of dollars? Not because people suddenly forgot how to wash their clothes, because they realized their time was worth more than doing it themselves. Think about what people are actually paying for. They're not buying clean shirts. Most people already know how to wash clothes. They're buying something much more valuable, an extra hour with their family, an uninterrupted weekend, one less chore to think about after a long day at work. That's why laundry pickup and delivery services have been growing so quickly. Some businesses don't even own washing machines. Instead, they partner with existing laundromats, collect dirty laundry from customers, deliver it to be cleaned, and return it neatly folded a day later. The customer saves time. The laundromat gains more business. And the company organizing everything earns a profit simply by making life more convenient. Now look back at the 4 signs we talked about earlier. Does the problem come back? Every single week. Does solving it create relief? Absolutely. Does it save time? Hours every month. And do customers return naturally? Of course they do. As long as people wear clothes, laundry never disappears. That's what makes this such a powerful example. The opportunity isn't hidden inside some revolutionary invention. It's hiding inside one of the oldest household chores in history. And here's the interesting part. Laundry is only the beginning. Once you start paying attention, you'll realize dozens of ordinary frustrations follow this exact same pattern. The next one is something you've probably dealt with much more recently than dirty clothes. Have you ever opened your garage looking for one thing, only to realize you can barely walk inside? Old bicycles, holiday decorations, boxes you haven't opened in years, furniture you're saving just in case. Most of us don't actually run out of belongings. We run out of space. And instead of getting rid of things, we usually make the same promise. I'll deal with it next month. The funny part is, next month almost never comes. That simple human habit has quietly created one of the largest service industries in the country. Not because people love renting storage, because they love postponing difficult decisions. Think about what self-storage businesses are really selling. They're not renting empty rooms. They're selling peace of mind. For a monthly fee, people buy themselves something they value even more than extra square footage. Time. Time to decide later. Time to avoid throwing things away today. Time to postpone an emotional decision they don't feel ready to make. That's why so many customers stay far longer than they originally planned. What begins as a temporary solution quietly turns into a recurring subscription, month after month, sometimes year after year. Not because the business convinced them to stay, because life keeps getting busy. Let's test this opportunity using the same 4 signs. Does the problem repeat? Absolutely. As families grow, people move, renovate their homes, or simply accumulate more possessions, the need for space keeps coming back. Does solving it create relief? Almost instantly. Just clearing a crowded garage or spare room can make a home feel bigger overnight. Does it save time and effort? Without question. Instead of making dozens of difficult decisions today, people solve the problem in a single afternoon. And do customers return naturally? In many cases, they never really leave. That's the hidden lesson. Some of the best businesses aren't built around products people dream about buying. They're built around problems people would rather not think about at all. And the next everyday frustration is even more common. It's something sitting just outside millions of homes right now. Take a look at almost any driveway that's a few years old. At first glance, those dark stains seem permanent. You walk past them every day without paying much attention. But then one afternoon, a pressure washing company cleans half the driveway. Suddenly, the difference is impossible to ignore. What looked like old, worn-out concrete was actually years of dirt, mold, and grime hiding the original surface underneath. And almost instantly, something interesting happens. The neighbors notice. They slow down as they drive by. Some even stop to ask who did the work. One simple cleaning job becomes a live advertisement that everyone on the street can see. That's something very few businesses can say. Most people think a pressure washing business is about cleaning concrete. It isn't. It's about restoring something people thought they had lost. A brighter driveway, a cleaner patio, a house that suddenly looks years newer without expensive renovations. That's why customers are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for work that often takes only a few hours. They're not buying water under pressure. They're buying transformation. And unlike many forms of advertising that disappear after a few seconds, this transformation stays visible for weeks or even months. Every visitor, every neighbor, every person walking their dog sees the result. Without realizing it, the customer has become your biggest advertisement. Now, let's measure this opportunity using our 4 signs. Does the problem come back? Absolutely. Rain, dust, pollen, algae, and changing seasons guarantee that outdoor surfaces never stay clean forever. Does solving it create immediate relief? Without question. People love seeing instant, visible results. Does it save time and effort? Instead of spending an entire weekend scrubbing concrete by hand, homeowners can have the job finished professionally in just a few hours. And what about repeat customers? Many schedule regular cleanings every year to keep their property looking its best. That's another pattern worth remembering. Some businesses don't just solve recurring problems. They solve visible recurring problems. And when your work is impossible to ignore, every completed job quietly helps you find the next customer. The next opportunity we're about to explore is different. It doesn't make anything cleaner. It makes something disappear entirely. Imagine you're cleaning out your garage after years of putting it off. At first, everything seems manageable. Then you start pulling things out. An old couch you never use. Broken shelves collecting dust. Boxes filled with things you forgot you even owned. Before long, your driveway is covered with piles of stuff, and one question keeps getting louder in your mind. What am I supposed to do with all of this? That's the moment most people discover something important. Getting rid of unwanted items is often harder than buying them in the first place. And when a problem feels overwhelming, people don't look for the cheapest solution. They look for the fastest one. This is why junk removal has become such a successful business. Customers aren't paying someone to carry heavy furniture. They're paying to reclaim their space, to clear the garage they've avoided for years, to empty the spare bedroom before family comes to visit, to finally close the chapter on a project they've been postponing for far too long. And here's something many people don't realize. What one person considers worthless often still has value. Furniture can be refurbished. Appliances can be repaired. Scrap metal can be recycled. Electronics can be salvaged. In many cases, a single job creates two sources of income. The customer pays to remove the clutter, and some of that clutter can generate money a second time. Let's test this business against our 4 signs. Does the problem repeat every single day? People move into new homes. They renovate old ones. Businesses replace furniture. Families inherit belongings they don't have room to keep. Life keeps creating clutter. Does solving the problem create relief? Almost immediately. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing an overcrowded space become clean and open again. Does it save time and effort? Without question. Instead of making dozens of trips to donation centers, recycling facilities, or landfills, one phone call solves the entire problem. And do customers come back? Many do. But even when they don't, new customers appear every single day because clutter is something life naturally produces. Here's the bigger lesson. Sometimes the most valuable service isn't adding something to someone's life. It's taking something away. And the next everyday frustration works the exact opposite way. Instead of removing clutter, it helps people find something they suddenly need, exactly when they need it. Picture yourself walking through an airport after a long flight, or leaving the gym after an intense workout. Maybe you're waiting in the lobby of an office building with 20 minutes to spare. Suddenly, you realize you're thirsty. Or maybe you forgot your phone charger. You don't want to drive to a store. You don't want to stand in line. You want a solution. Right now. That's exactly why vending machines have become part of everyday life. They're always there when convenience matters more than price. And most people never stop to ask the simplest question of all: who actually owns them? Most people assume vending machines belong to the building they're sitting in, but that's often not the case. Many are owned by independent entrepreneurs who simply negotiated the right location. Think about what they're really selling. It's not a bottle of water. It's not a chocolate bar. It's immediate convenience. When someone is thirsty after exercising, when a traveler forgot their headphones, or when an employee wants a quick snack between meetings, they're not comparing prices. They're solving a tiny problem in less than 30 seconds. And those tiny problems happen hundreds of times every single day. One customer doesn't change much, but hundreds of small purchases quietly add up into a surprisingly consistent business. Now let's test it using the 4 signs. Does the problem repeat? Constantly. People get hungry. People get thirsty. People forget small essentials. Every single day, someone needs something immediately. Does solving the problem create relief? Almost instantly. A cold drink after a workout. A snack during a long shift. A charger before your phone dies. Tiny purchases. Big convenience. Does it save time? Absolutely. Instead of leaving the building, driving to a store, waiting in line, and coming back, the entire problem is solved in less than a minute. And what about repeat customers? They're often the strongest part of the business. Office workers return every week. Gym members buy something after their workouts. Students stop by between classes. Here's the lesson hiding behind all of this. Some of the most successful businesses aren't built around expensive products. They're built around being in the right place at exactly the right moment. And the next opportunity takes that same idea one step further. Because instead of selling convenience, it rents something people only need for a short time. Imagine you're planning to build a deck in your backyard. You need a heavy-duty concrete mixer. Or maybe you're trimming tall trees and suddenly realize you need a large extension ladder. You could buy the equipment, but after this weekend, where are you going to store it? And when will you use it again? For most people, the answer is simple. Probably never. That's why millions of expensive tools spend almost their entire lives sitting in garages collecting dust. People don't actually want to own them. They just need them for a day or two. And hidden inside that simple reality is an entire industry built around one powerful idea. Access is often more valuable than ownership. This is exactly why equipment rental businesses continue to thrive. Instead of asking customers to spend thousands of dollars on machines they'll rarely use, they offer something much more practical. Use it. Return it. Forget about it. The customer avoids a huge upfront expense. They don't have to worry about maintenance. They don't need extra storage space. And they never have to think about repairs if something breaks. Meanwhile, the same piece of equipment can be rented over and over again to different customers. One machine, dozens, sometimes hundreds, of separate transactions throughout its lifetime. The equipment is purchased once, but it has the potential to generate revenue for years. Let's put this business through our 4-question test. Does the problem repeat? Constantly. Homeowners start new projects. Contractors take on different jobs. Businesses occasionally need specialized equipment. The demand never completely disappears. Does solving the problem create relief? Absolutely. Customers get exactly what they need without making a major financial commitment. Does it save time and effort? More than most people realize. Instead of researching, purchasing, maintaining, storing, and eventually selling expensive equipment, everything is handled in a single rental. And what about repeat customers? Contractors often come back project after project. Homeowners return whenever the next renovation begins. Here's the bigger lesson. Some businesses succeed because people want to own something. Others succeed because people are perfectly happy not owning it. Convenience, flexibility, and simplicity are often far more valuable than possession. And the next everyday problem proves that people will even pay someone else to take care of something they already own. Imagine waking up on a Monday morning, walking into your kitchen, and opening the refrigerator. The light comes on, but something feels wrong. The milk isn't cold anymore. The freezer is slowly melting. Within minutes, you realize the refrigerator has stopped working. Suddenly, nothing else seems quite as important. Every hour that passes means more food could spoil. Replacing the refrigerator would cost thousands of dollars. Waiting several days for a technician isn't really an option. In moments like these, people stop asking, "Can I live without this?" Instead, they ask, "Who can fix it today?" That sense of urgency completely changes the way people make decisions. This is why appliance repair continues to be such a reliable business. People don't usually wake up planning to call a repair technician. Life makes that decision for them. A washing machine stops spinning. The dryer won't heat. The dishwasher leaks across the kitchen floor. The oven refuses to turn on just before dinner. These aren't luxury purchases. They're interruptions to everyday life. And the faster someone can remove that interruption, the more valuable their service becomes. In many cases, repairing the appliance costs only a fraction of buying a new one. For most families, the decision becomes incredibly simple. Fix it today, instead of replacing it tomorrow. Now let's look at this opportunity through our 4 signs. Does the problem repeat? Absolutely. Every home depends on appliances, and every appliance eventually wears out. Does solving the problem create relief? Almost instantly. A working refrigerator, a functioning washing machine, a hot meal cooking in the oven again. Sometimes the smallest repairs create the biggest emotional payoff. Does it save time and effort? Without question. Instead of researching new appliances, comparing prices, arranging delivery, and installing replacements, one repair visit puts life back on track. And what about repeat customers? Most households own several major appliances. Even if one machine lasts another 5 years, something else eventually needs attention. Here's the lesson hiding inside this business. The greatest opportunities aren't always built around selling people something new. Sometimes they're built around helping people keep the things they already depend on every single day. And the next problem is one that almost every homeowner eventually faces. Not inside the house, but just outside the front door. Let's finish with one last problem. Take a walk through almost any neighborhood during the spring or summer. Perfect green lawns, freshly trimmed hedges, clean flower beds. At first glance, it just looks like people take good care of their homes. But look a little closer. Most of those homeowners didn't spend their Saturday mowing the lawn. Someone else did. Because just like laundry, just like dirty driveways, just like broken appliances, grass never stops growing. Every week, nature quietly creates another customer. And every week, someone earns a living simply by solving that recurring problem. That's the hidden pattern you've been seeing throughout this entire video. Now, take a step back and think about every example we've explored together. Laundry, storage, pressure washing, junk removal, vending machines, equipment rentals, appliance repair, landscaping. At first, they seem completely unrelated, but they're actually telling the exact same story. None of these businesses became successful because someone invented something revolutionary. They became successful because someone noticed an ordinary frustration that millions of people had accepted as normal. Instead of asking, how can I invent the next big thing? They asked a much simpler question. How can I make everyday life just a little easier? Sometimes the biggest opportunities aren't hidden because they're complicated. They're hidden because they're so familiar that almost nobody pays attention anymore. The next time you find yourself saying, why is this always such a hassle? Don't let the thought disappear. Stay with it for a moment. Look around. Ask yourself one simple question. How many other people dealt with this exact same problem today? Because that's where almost every great business begins. Not with a brilliant invention, not with perfect timing, and not with an extraordinary idea. It begins with curiosity, with paying attention, with seeing opportunities hiding inside the routines everyone else ignores. If this video changes one habit, I hope it's this. From now on, don't just notice problems, study them. The next business worth building may already be part of your daily routine. You simply haven't looked at it through the right lens. If you enjoyed this journey, let me know in the comments which everyday problem made you think differently. And if someone in your life is searching for a business idea, share this video with them. You never know. The opportunity they've been looking for might be sitting right in front of them.